Good morning from Oklahoma. I'm Dave Deken with a look at what's happening in agriculture and rural life across our great state in this episode of Red Dirt and Round Bales. Some hometowns are where you were born. Others are where someone leaves a light on for you. Silent movie star Buster Keaton was born across the state line in Piqua, Kansas in 1895. And because his parents were traveling entertainers, much of his childhood was spent wherever the next train, theater, or boarding house happened to be. But when Buster talks about home, one Oklahoma town keeps finding its way into the story. Prairie. Now, Prairie itself was barely older than Buster. The town had sprung up during the Cherokee Outlet opening of 1893. Thousands of people poured onto the Prairie, and almost overnight there were tents, wagons, wooden buildings, and businesses gathered around the town square. The wind still moved freely through the Prairie town. The streets could turn from dust to mud, depending on the weather. But people were putting down roots as fast as they could drive nails. Among them was Buster's grandfather, Joseph Z. Keaton, a Civil War veteran. In March of 1894, he filed for a quarter section of land northwest of Prairie. That gave the Keaton family something unusual, a fixed place. Buster's parents, Joe and Myra, made Prairie their home when they were not traveling with the theatrical companies. Local records even place Joe Keaton at 624 G Street on December of 1900. Now imagine what Prairie must have meant to a boy raised in show business. Most children knew the sound of a school bell. Buster, well, he knew the sound of scenery being moved backstage. He knew costume trunks, railroad timetables, and rented rooms. He knew that the family may perform in one town tonight and wake up headed towards another tomorrow. But in Prairie, there were grandparents. There was land. There was a house that stayed where somebody put it. The Oklahoma Historical Society says that Buster spent his summers there and later claimed Prairie as his hometown. And that tells you something about a little town on the Prairie. Home is not always the place where your story begins. Sometimes it's the place where the road finally grows quiet. Prairie also gave young Buster a stage. On the east side of the town square stood the Grand Opera House. It opened in 1901. And hosted traveling entertainers, school programs, and community gatherings. Will Rogers performed there. John Philip Sousa appeared there. Even one circus production reportedly brought an elephant, horses, and Shetland ponies right onto the stage. And Buster Keaton performed there with his parents. Local history remembers the Grand as the site of the first stage appearance. Keaton scholars trace some of his earliest appearances to other stops made by the family's traveling act. But the larger truth is clear. Prairie was one of the places where a very small boy began learning a very difficult trade. Timing, balance, knowing where the wall was, knowing how to fall, and maybe most important, knowing when not to smile. See, Buster discovered that audiences laughed harder when he kept a perfectly serious face while the world collapsed around him. That expression eventually earned him the name the Great Stone Face. By the 1920s, that little boy had become one of the most innovative filmmakers in the world. He made pictures such as 1 Week, Sherlock Jr., The Navigator, and The General. Buildings fell around him, trains chased him, machines rebelled against him. And through it all, Buster stood there looking like a man who expected trouble all along. Between 1920 and 1928, he made 19 short films and 10 silent features. His comedy was funny, but it was also about endurance. The small human figure facing a large, unruly world and somehow staying on his feet. Then, in 1957, the road brought him back to Prairie. Paramount had made The Buster Keaton Story, starring Donald O'Connor. 2 Prairie residents helped persuade the studio to bring a major premiere all the way to Prairie, Oklahoma. So, on May 17th, the mayor of Prairie declared Buster Keaton Day in Prairie. Buster arrived with his wife Eleanor. There was a parade, public appearances, and even a new Oldsmobile was loaned to carry the star around. One local host remembered Buster as quiet but friendly. Keaton admitted that he didn't remember very much about living in Prairie. But there's something a little tender about that. The man had traveled thousands of miles and had lived most of his childhood out of a trunk. Prairie may have remembered more about Buster than Buster could remember about Prairie. But that's what hometowns do sometimes. They keep a piece of your story after you have gone. Today, Prairie's Cherokee Strip Museum displays a hat that Buster wore during the 1957 parade. His face also looks out from a mural near the old downtown square, about where the old Opera House stood. He was born in Kansas. He became famous in Hollywood. But between those two places was a young Oklahoma town, a set of grandparents, a family address, and an opera house stage. Maybe Buster Keaton did not remember all of Prairie, but Prairie remembers him. And sometimes that's what makes a place home. To learn more about Buster Keaton's time in Prairie, Oklahoma, visit reddirtandroundbales.com. I'm Dave Deken. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time when we take another look at rural life and agriculture in Oklahoma on Red Dirt and Round Bales.